Hey folks, welcome to the webinar. This is our GL launch webinar for BrowserStack Accessibility Testing. And we're really excited to showcase what we've been working on over the past year and now that it's finally ready to launch. I'm working as a product manager on this newly launched product. And just a brief bit about my background. I've been with BrowserStack for the past 4 years. Previously, I've been working on the live product and the growth teams. And more recently, I've taken on the task of leading this new product line. I'm joined with Arpit as well, who is a lead within our customer engineering team. So Arpit, if you want to give a brief introduction about yourself as well.
Thanks for that, Apurv. So as Apurv mentioned, I'm from the customer engineering team here at BrowserStack, and I help customers on board and interact with customers on a day-to-day basis as a technical consultant, giving them integration solutions with our product. Yeah. Great.
So I see that we have a wide variety of people joining us from all over the world. So I think before we get started, let's take a quick poll to see where everyone is joining us from. So you can head over to slido.com and enter this code and participate in this short poll so we better understand where people are joining us from. Great. So we have people from India, Thailand, Brazil, a lot of people from Europe. Yes, we have Canada. Yep. Right. So now we're seeing some common patterns as well. Lots of people from America and Europe as well. Yep. This is really exciting and great to see. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is great to see. People from Philippines. Lots of folks from North America. Great. All right. Thank you so much for answering the poll, folks. And it's great to see a diverse set of people joining us today. And we're really excited for a great session of kind of learning and engagement over the next 50 minutes. We'll move on to the next slide where we'd like to cover a couple of housekeeping items before we jump into the main presentation today. So today's session will run for roughly 60 minutes. The session is being recorded. We have muted all other participants to ensure that there are no interruptions. Once the session has ended, we will send across a recording of this session via email. And towards the end, we have a large amount of time set aside for Q&A. So we have dedicated 15 minutes and you can use the Q&A tab within your Zoom window to send us any questions and we'd love to answer them. Great. Let's get started with the session. All right. So yeah, so we're here today for the GA launch of BrowserStack Accessibility Testing. It's finally generally available. We view it as a super app for web accessibility testing since we support a variety of different ways to test using this product. Now, before we kind of jump into the core part of the presentation, we'd also like to cover what are some of the motivations behind building this tool, right? So I think when you take a step back and look at the broader market, I think there has been a lot of developments in some of the core domains of testing. So when it comes to functional testing, there's been a lot of improvements over the past 10, 20 years in terms of the existence of automation pipelines, testing frameworks, CI/CD being set up. There's been lots of investment and improvements in functional testing. We've also seen a similar improvement when it comes to the domains of security testing and performance testing. As more people come online, it's important for their information to be secure, and the performance testing also ensures that that all the people who end up using your products have a top-notch experience. But the one area where we have not seen the same level of investment and active engagement is probably accessibility testing. It has gained some momentum in recent years, but I think compared to some of those other domains of testing I spoke about, I think it is far behind right now. And what we're seeing, I think, after having spoken to, at this point, 100 plus customers, the number one thing, there are at least 3 things that we're seeing, which have driven us to kind of build this tool. So the first one is, I think the current tools that exist in the market are quite slow and inefficient. The tools have not been able to keep up with the way that our dynamic modern web apps are built. Apart from this, I think the tool market is also very fragmented. People have to use a variety of different tools for testing different aspects of their product. So they might have to use a static analyzer versus a screen reader, and they have to use a variety of different tools to just ensure that their website is accessible once and over time as well. So they have to juggle a variety of different tools. So this means that you have to evaluate different tools, procure them, maintain them, and do all of these things with a variety of tools. And I think the third aspect is the lack of accessibility expertise in general. Accessibility testing is a relatively new space when you take a look at the broader market. I think there is a learning curve when it comes to being able to do accessibility testing correctly. And currently what we're finding is that the tools don't do justice to that, or are not able to let everyone achieve their accessibility goals because of the lack of expertise. And ideally what we're looking to do with our tool is help address all of these 3 pain points through our new tool, which is the super app for accessibility testing. Great. I think now let's jump into what are some of the key components of this product. There are 2 key components. There is a Chrome browser extension that has all of the different modalities that can be used to test. And we'll probably cover those in more detail in the next slide when we go over the features. But apart from that, we also have a reporting dashboard wherein once you do all of your testing, all of the reports will be available there. And we also offer a website scanner, so you can keep track of the accessibility health of your website over time as well. Now let's jump into some of the key features. There are 5 key features that I'd like to talk about. I think the first row represents the different modalities of testing. We offer testing through automatic issue detection, semi-automatic, and manual. So we offer a automatic workflow scanner that allows you to test across multiple pages in a single scan. And the great thing with this is it allows you to test and understand the natural workflow for user. Apart from this, we also offer assisted tests. So this comes back to the point we were discussing in terms of lack of expertise. So even if you don't have all the expertise, these assisted tests allow you to find advanced issues. We also offer screen readers. Now, this is a very unique differentiator that we bring to the market. And when you think about accessibility, it's also very important to understand the end user experience. So we offer users the ability to test on real devices and use real screen readers on these devices. So we offer VoiceOver, NVDA, and TalkBack. Apart from that, we also enable the monitoring of websites, so you can keep a pulse check on what's going on from an accessibility standpoint. And lastly, we have a central reporting dashboard. So all of the different ways in which you do testing, eventually that gets converted into a report, and all these reports are available in one location. Great. So now that we've covered the key components and the key features, I think one thing which the entire team is quite curious about to understand is for all the folks that are joining that have joined the webinar today, we'd love to understand how often are you conducting accessibility audits which require to eventually do accessibility testing. So you should be now seeing a question through Zoom. When we'd love to find out how often are you conducting accessibility audits for your web app. Great. So I think if now folks have had a chance to answer this, thank you so much. And um, now the next item we'd like to move on to is better understanding what are some of the business use cases, or what are some of the use cases of the end customers who are using BrowserStack accessibility testing. So I'll be handing it over to Arpit now to go over some of the key use cases that he's seen across the various customer interactions. And then we'll probably, and then we'll come back and circle back to kind of the roadmap and some of these other items as well.
Okay. Thanks for that, Apurv. I'm just gonna start sharing my screen. All right, guys. So like Apurv mentioned, right? So I'm from the customer engineering team here at BrowserStack, and interact with all the clients and the customers on the day-to-day basis. And based on my experience, based on my interaction, I've onboarded quite a few customers on Accessibility Toolkit as well. So based on my experience, I've shortlisted around 4 business use cases that we as testers or developers come across on the day-to-day basis while we are doing accessibility testing. So this is what we're going to cover as part of this particular section, and what are those business use cases and how we are solving that problem using the accessibility toolkit, right? So jumping on to the first business use case, that is testing complex workflows, right? So let's assume you have an e-commerce website, and what essentially you would like to do as part of the e-commerce website, right? You would be signing in, you would be selecting a product, you would be going through the entire checkout journey where you will be adding a product to the cart. You would be going through the entire payments journey, right? So there are other tools available, accessibility tools available in the market, where they ask you to essentially scan all those pages individually, and then later you have to perform this cumbersome task of integrating all those reports, integrating all those individual scans, right? So with the help of Accessibility Toolkit at BrowserStack, we essentially let you scan the entire workflow. Let me show you how that works in action, right? So this is our internal website, that is BrowserStack demo. And as Apurv mentioned earlier, that with the help of the Chrome plugin, you'll be getting access to this particular tool called Accessibility Toolkit, right? So in this, if you go to this particular section, that is Workflow Scanner, I'm going to basically scan the whole workflow that I just spoke about. So I'm going to start a full page scan, right? So I'll perform the whole journey, where what I'm doing is I'm doing a sign in, right? Once I'm done with the sign in, I'm going to be at the product page. I'm going to be adding a product to the cart, and I'm going to be doing a checkout journey. I'll fill my address. I'm going to be doing a checkout journey. And yeah, so my order has been created, right? If you see here in the workflow log, what all did we navigate through, right? So we were on the demo page. We went and signed in. Then from the sign in page, we came to the product page. As you can see in the, so wherever there's a change in the DOM and the new issues have been identified, you can see all that in the workflow logs. And then we went ahead on the checkout page, and then we eventually checked out, and then we went to the confirmation page, right? So this is the entire workflow that has been scanned. I'm just going to stop it, save the report. Right. So once I save this particular report, it gets saved in the accessibility dashboard. I'm just going to go there. Right. So this is the report which I just scanned, and these are the issues which have been identified. Right. So if you look at these issues, the first thing that the report gives you is it gives you different categories based on the WCAG guidelines that these issues fall into. It gives you all the categories. Let's say there's an issue with the color contrast. Let's say there's an issue with the form. Let's say there is an issue with the ARIA labels. Everything has been highlighted here. What are the URLs that we navigated through? So the list of the URLs which are available here. And then if you deep dive into it, we are giving you all the component level information as well, right? So entire DOM, the component level information, let's say this is the component which got affected. So we are going to show you here which WCAG guideline was being violated here, which component got affected. And we also give you a rundown into, how you can go ahead and fix this particular issue. And we give you a quick walkthrough of that as well. Right. So similar kind of summary you would be seeing for all the issues and all the components that have been identified here. Right. So moving on to the next piece of the demo, that is the second use case, that is instant intelligent reports. Right. So think about it this way. Right. So it's a day-to-day scenario where you've got multiple developers or the QAs working in your team. Right. So if a couple of QAs or a couple of developers are essentially testing a similar website, there is bound to be an overlap, right? So a similar web page can be scanned by an individual, and the same web page would be scanned by a different individual as well. And you will have to do this manual activity of going through the issues identified by the first user and then going through the issues identified by the other user. The second business use case that I can think of is, let's say you just went into the production, you had a feature release. In that feature release, you went ahead and scanned your website, you made some UI changes, and then you had another feature release. So majority of the UI code remained same, but still there were some changes, and then that's why you had to do another scan, right? So for the scan 1 and the scan 2, again, you have to do this manual activity of going through all the issues which were detected in the first scan, and then manually going to the issues detected in the second scan. Right. So with the accessibility toolkit, what you get access to is a cool feature called consolidated reports. Right. So these are the two reports that I already have. And if I open this, you can see essentially it has navigated through the similar URL. The URL has been has been constant in this case. Right. So what I can do is I will just go ahead and create a consolidated report. As you can see, there are 56 issues here. There are 57 issues here. But the consolidated report will take care of all the deduplication, and you're not going to get a sum of that. You're only going to get the unique issues, right? So the one which is created here is the which includes only 57 unique issues. So this helps you, one, even if it's a single sprint where multiple user environment is being used. In that case, you can always deduplicate the issues which are being identified by multiple users. And the second very critical business use case could be that there are multiple sprints. So you can club the reports of the multiple sprints, and then you can use a deduplicated report where you only see the unique issues there, right? So this was the second business use case that I wanted to discuss. Moving on to the next one, which is again a very interesting one, that is the end user experience with the screen readers, right? So it's not practical or possible to test your website across all the browser OS combinations, right? So let's say you've tested it on Windows machine, but BrowserStack has its own infrastructure. We've got 19 data centers globally, and with the accessibility toolkit, you're getting access to different devices hosted in our data centers as well, right? So you would like to see how your website looks like on a Mac machine, since you've tested it on a Windows machine, or you would like to see how it looks like on a Samsung device, right? So with the help of accessibility toolkit screen reader functionality, you would be able to get access to. So here, if you come here, you open up a new test with the help of the screen reader functionality. As you can see here, you can pick and choose the combination. So I'm just gonna spin up a machine which is running on a Mac Monterey, spin up a machine which is using Mac Monterey. right? So what this is going to do is this is going to hook up to one of the machines which is connected to our data center. And that's where you can get the real look and feel of the particular website that you're planning to test here, right? So this is one use case that you're trying to solve here. And the second one, which is, let's say you're using a voiceover functionality, right? I'm just waiting for the URL to spin up. Just give me a moment. Right. So as you can see here, I've connected to a machine. I've connected to Safari browser already, right? I'm going to be going to one website. Let's say I go to Google. And if you want to test the voiceover functionality as well, I'm just enabling the screen reader functionality.
Voiceover utility. Voice app Safari. Google window.
As
Search
I'm
by image button.
the tab,
You are currently on a button. Google search button. I'm feeling hungry button. You are current group. You are currently voiceover off.
Right. So just to give you a quick rundown of what happened there, right? So firstly, the first use case, you're able to spin up a machine, which is essentially a different browser OS combination than what you've tested locally. So you get a look and feel of your website, how it looks like on a different machine. This is the first use case. The second one, when I enabled the screen reader functionality and I was navigating it through a keyboard, because let's say someone is visually impaired and he's not able to see the website, he's using the voiceover functionality of your website. So you can just simply use the a tab key and just navigate to the entire website, and it's going to read out the content wherever it is being hovered on, the cursor is being hovered on, right? So that's the second use case that I demonstrated there. And this is something that is supported in our data centers as well. Right. Moving on to the next business use case, that is the final one, right? So accessibility testing is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not a one-time activity, right? So let's say you've already done with testing your website and you made some UI changes again, like I spoke about. There was a feature one that went ahead into the production, and then there's potentially you identified a bug, you made some UI changes, and there was a feature two which was launched, or a production release was halted, and you made some UI changes, and again it went into production with a different release, right? So with that, you don't have to write a single piece of code, you don't have to write a single line of code, and you don't have to use any kind of CI integrators to be integrating your code here. All you have to do is, for the continuous monitoring, all you have to do is you have to use your website scanner functionality, right? So I'm just gonna put this up. As you can see here, if you come to the accessibility dashboard, you'll be seeing this feature called website scanner, right? So what you have to do is you can put all your websites which are publicly hosted for the continuous monitoring, right? You can decide your schedule, whether you want to do it on a weekly basis, whether you want to do it on a daily basis, or whether you have any customized schedule in your mind. And you can create a CSV out of all your URLs which you need to accessibility test, and you can select the WCAG guidelines that you essentially want to use, and then create a scheduler out of it. Right. So once you have created the scheduler based on the schedule that you have decided here, it is potentially going to create a scheduler, and then it will on timely basis, based on the schedule that you have decided, it is going to email the report out to you, and it is going to run the scan across all these websites. In the interest of time, I'm just going to pull up one of the reports which were created with the old scheduler. So as you can see here, all the URLs already, you're seeing all the information here. If you see the scan runs, it's a similar kind of report. I'm seeing 77 issues across these URLs. What are the categories of the issues? What is the criticality of the issues? And then the similar kind of information that we saw earlier, which is at component level, what are the changes expected? And these are the components which are affected, and how do you essentially fix those components, right? So this was the last business use case that I wanted to highlight as part of this particular section. Apurv, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Arpit. Yeah. Thank you so much, Arpit. I think that was quite insightful and great to kind of better understand and see the use cases that our actual customers have and how we've been able to address them with our super app, which is BrowserStack Accessibility Testing. In general, I'd like to kind of end the conversation on use cases by talking about what are some of the key benefits that you get out of this tool. Four key benefits. So I think the first one is we allow the ability to catch a variety of different accessibility issues, ranging from basic issues regarding color contrast to more complex issues, which you can only find through manual issue detection through assistive technology like screen readers. Apart from that, we've also made it far quicker to do accessibility testing, almost 5 times faster. And this is possible primarily because of the workflow scanner. Because now instead of having to go scan every individual page, export the results, deduplicate them, you don't have to do that anymore. You activate a scan, and then as you kind of progress or traverse through your workflow, it will detect all of the potential issues and create one consolidated report, which has already been deduplicated. Apart from that, I think another common aspect of accessibility testing is you often, because it is a new domain, and for a lot of organizations, it's the first time they're going to get started with accessibility testing. Reporting around accessibility testing is also critical. So we give you the ability to create instant reports, consolidate them, group them together, have a variety of different visualizations to better understand the data. So reporting is made far simpler. And lastly, we have, like Arpit mentioned, it's a marathon and not just a sprint. So we allow you to monitor your website accessibility over time. So once you have made it accessible, you are able to ensure that it stays accessible, at least via automatic issue detection. Great. So I think at this point, what we'll also do is we'll just, you'll probably see a quick question via Zoom. And if folks are interested in exploring the product, let us know, and we'll definitely get back to you. Great. I think we can now go ahead onto the next slide, which is regarding our product vision. So I saw a lot of questions as Arpit was kind of going through his use cases. I think a lot of questions around automated testing. So I'd love to address them as we talk about our overall product vision. So as it stands, similar to our cross-browser testing product, we plan to have a 2x2 grid when it comes to products. On the vertical axis, we have the different platforms. So we have web apps and native mobile apps. And then on the horizontal axis, we have the different ways of testing, which is manual testing and automated testing. So what we just covered today in terms of use cases is how folks end up doing manual testing for web apps. That's accessibility testing, which is now generally available. On the top right quadrant is a product which seems to be something that is highly anticipated by folks. It's called accessibility automation. It's a product that which is currently in closed alpha, and we have support for TestNG and Mocha. Apart from this, we also plan to add support for a variety of different frameworks in the automation product. So we plan to have support for Cypress, Playwright, WebDriver IO, Nightwatch. So a variety of different frameworks are coming up in the beta release. And this is a product that will be delivered via the BrowserStack SDK. And our vision here is to make it as effortless as possible to integrate accessibility testing into your pre-existing test suites. We want to make it as simple as turning on a single code flag, setting accessibility to true in a configuration flag. We have achieved this in the alpha. If folks are interested, we also we'll give you the opportunity to join the waitlist. So I'll share that link across as well over chat during the Q&A session. And folks are interested, you can sign up and join the waitlist, and we'd love to have you. in the closed alpha. Apart from this, on the bottom row, we have the products, the app testing products. So we plan to have a manual testing product for app accessibility testing in the first quarter of next year. Here we plan to support Android and iOS. And then further down, once we have the manual testing product ready, we also plan to have an automated version of that product, which is app accessibility automation, which will come out in the subsequent quarter of next year. Let's move into, so now that we've covered the overall product vision, I'd love to kind of go into more detail on our product roadmap for the accessibility testing product that you saw today. For the upcoming quarter, from October to December, a lot of our focus will now be on further enhancing the website scanner. We're seeing a lot of interest in this in this capability of monitoring. And I think to answer a couple of questions that folks had, we plan to, so currently our website scanner works on public pages, but we also plan to support the testing of pages behind auth walls or login walls. We will give you the ability to test in lower environments like staging environments and also sitemap scanning. Apart from this, we plan to upgrade our rule engine to support WCAG 2.2. And apart from that, there will be collaboration features in terms of publicly accessible reports and a single-click bug filing via Jira. In the subsequent quarter, we will have a CLI version of our website scanner. So there'll be a CLI tool as well. We also plan to offer a automatic color contrast checker. And this is something that will get embedded in our workflow scanner. The idea is to reduce the number of issues that need manual review through using AI-based techniques to detect color, to better detect color contrast issues in especially those challenging situations where you have gradients or more complex scenarios. Apart from that, we plan to offer assisted tests, 2 more assisted tests for modals and images. And then in the following quarter, we have more assisted tests lined up to round out our offering in terms of assisted tests. Great. So I think now that we've covered the roadmap, we can actually kickstart our Q&A session. So we can probably, so the floor is open for any questions. We'll quickly go through all the questions that are being posed and try to answer all of them. And apart from that, just Arpit, while you can get started with answering questions, I'll also send across the link to the wait list for accessibility automation as well.
All right, so I'll start picking up the questions one by one. So there's one question here: for the open source project plan, do we need to pay extra for this feature, right? So I'm going to be sharing a link to the pricing page that we have, right? So we've got 3 plans associated with accessibility testing. The first one is a free one. The next one is a team plan, which gives you access to minimum 5 users, then 10 users, and then more than that. And the third one is an enterprise plan, right? So there is a detailed overview of what you get with which plan that you're opting for. So I'm just going to paste a link for that. So a couple of people did have some questions around that, right? The next one that I pick up is I can't use a narrator or any accessibility tool in iPhone or Android. When will you provide it? Right. So to understand this question correctly, if you are referring to the website testing on any of the mobile devices, right? So if you are able to get the Chrome extension, you can use our live product. Basically, you can use our live product, get access to any of the iPhone or the Android devices, and then that's where you can open up the Chrome browser, get the extension, and you can accessibility test your website there as well. But if you're referring to the native apps for these particular devices, then that is something, Apurv, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is something which is in the roadmap for next year. Right. So in FY24, we would essentially, start looking at that as well. We just want to fine tune our product for the next few quarters. As Apurv showed the roadmap, we'll just fine tune our existing testing product, and then we'll start working on the mobile app side of things as well. Right. Yeah, Apurv, do you want to pick up the next one?
Yeah, sure. Great. So I think we'll go into, let's go into another question from, great, yeah. So let's just a moment, let me, and lots of questions coming in. So let me answer the question from Harita in terms of, will website scan not work for websites that are not yet public and published on the internet? So yeah, this question basically, so currently we don't offer that capability, but it is a part of the roadmap. It is coming in the subsequent quarter. You will be able to test in staging environments and lower environments which are non-public. So that is going to be possible soon. So another question from Sabine is, can you use it to test e-learning modules sitting within an LMS? Yes, absolutely. So you will be able to, once you install the Chrome extension, you will be able to activate the workflow scanner, and you can go through your e-learning modules as you regularly do, go through the regular user workflows. Our scanner will keep running in the background, and we will be able to detect all the potential issues there. A question from Vinay, does the tool scan audio and video components? So it does scan, so it does not. So, okay, there is a nuance here. So we are able to detect or scan or detect or identify if there is a video element and if it does not have captions in it. However, we currently don't support the native scanning of audio and video components. It is going to be done if there is an absence of captions there. Yep. All right. We have another question. Can we, I'm sorry. Okay. One question from Pranav. Can we integrate monitoring with Slack for notifications regarding tests? So yes, we will be, so offering notifications via Slack is a part of the roadmap. It is something we would like to offer. At this point, I think the first third-party integration that's coming up is Jira. And we will be also integrating with Slack, Microsoft Teams, and other tools like Trello and GitHub as well. Yeah.
I'll pick the next few. So, there's a question coming in from Lauren. Is there a way to engage with manual tests in addition to automated tests, right? So, I like Apurv spoke about it initially during the couple of slides that he was walking us through, right? So there are 3 ways with the accessibility toolkit. There are 3 ways that you're essentially scanning your websites. All the 3 need to be triggered manually at the moment, where, first way is an automated way. We say it an automated way because there is all the scanning is done with the help of a rule engine. And the second part of it, where you're using the assisted test, that's a semi-automated way to do it. And the third one, where the manual intervention is required because essentially you have to go to the launcher server, open up your website, and then use the voiceover to essentially test the screen reader functionality. So that's a manual way to do that, right? Apart from that, I think there was another question that came in with regards to, SDK integration, our BrowserStack SDK integration with Accessibility Toolkit. So we have our foot in the door. We have it's in the private alpha at the moment, and we've launched it for private alpha. If you are interested, please leave in your comments, and then we'll try to enable it for TestNG and Mocha for you guys. And once we have included all the other frameworks as well for automation SDK integration with Accessibility Toolkit, we shall reach out to you for that as well. Right. I think there is one question. Is there a way to analyze the whole website and get the same report, or is this page by page? Right. So this is one of our, USPs, and this is something that, sets us apart from our competitors, that you are able to scan the whole workflow together. Like you don't need to scan it page by page and perform any kind of manual activity of integrating those. You'll be able to scan the whole workflow in one go. So this is a new browser extension separate from SDK. Does it require a separate license or something like that? Yes, it's a separate product. Automation SDK is a separate product, and this is a separate product. And as I shared this was the question asked by Dushyant. So this is a separate product, Dushyant, and I've shared the pricing link here in the chat. You can refer to that, and then that is something I think should take care of your question as well. Yeah, Apurv, over to you for the next few.
Sure. So I think another question from Haritha is, does this integrate with tools like DevOps to automatic creation of bugs for the issues found? I think we currently don't support automatic detection or automatic raising of bugs. It is an interesting concept. I think it is something we would like to support in the automated, in accessibility automation, the automated version of the product. But yeah, currently it's not supported for the manual testing product. Great. I think another question. All right. There's a question from Lucas about the robot framework. We currently don't support the robot framework, but feel free to fill out the waitlist form, and we'll make a note of interest across different frameworks, and that will definitely help us prioritize as we evaluate the long-term roadmap ahead. It is something we would like to offer down the line. So we'll definitely make a note of your interest in this. Great. So another a question from Josh. Not all VUCAC criteria can be tested with an automated tool. Do you have any way to test and track issues that a human has to check for? Any plans to hire real humans? Great question. The ability, I think, absolutely, that's why we do offer screen readers. So we enable folks to test and find some of these more advanced issues. The assisted tests that you'll see do allow you to actually track the issues that are found. So our scanner will find issues, and then it will ask a set of questions back to the user. And then once you respond back to those questions, it will help you generate the final set of issues. So that is something that is possible in the assisted test, not so much in the screen readers themselves. And in terms of hiring real humans, it is not something we offer right now, but we have made a note of your interest. It is something that we are potentially exploring. But yes, currently that isn't available at this moment. Another question from John. How would you set up a scan against screens that require a login? Great. So I think this is an upcoming feature, the ability to test behind auth walls. So we'll basically give you the primary way to achieve this is through what we are planning to support is form-based authentication. So we'll ask a set of parameters in terms of the username field, the password field, all the different field selectors, and all the different values there. And then we'll head over to your login page before we start the scan. And in that manner, we'll be able to test behind auth walls as well. It is a part of the roadmap and something that's coming in the upcoming quarter. Right. Will there be any additional cost associated with the accessibility functions being added? Yes, so there will be. This is a standalone product. You can take a look at the pricing on this and the additional cost on the pricing page that we have. Great. Another question from Reina. Will AI be integrated or powered in accessibility and the rest of the testing products, for example, in Percy or automated testing? Yes, so we do have it integrated in some shape or form. So for instance, there is some level of heuristic analysis that does happen in our assisted tests. We are planning to make a more conscious effort into supporting AI-based issue detection through the automatic color contrast checker. So that'll be our first foray. But we do have beyond that. So that is one of the top complaints that we hear from folks is that often there are lots of false positives when it comes to color contrast issues. So we're looking to kind of solve this in a very targeted manner where it makes sense. And we do have a longer roadmap to further incorporate AI into our testing methods. So we've already answered this, right? A question from Supriya, is the screen reader available in languages other than English? Great question. We are working on this capability as a part of the roadmap as well. We currently, it's currently not supported, but it is a part of the roadmap to offer this screen reader in other languages as well. Great. I think a question from Tomas as well. So I know you mentioned the CLI version. Will there be a CI/CD integration plan so it can be used with NPM and the build pipeline? Yes, Tomas. So the idea is that there will be two offerings to help you here. So one version of this would be a CLI version of the website scanner that you saw. So you enter a set of you give it a CSV of URLs. It will run through those URLs and create a scan. That's one option. The other option would be our dedicated product for automation testing, which is accessibility automation. There, the idea is that you can enable a single flag as long as you've integrated the BrowserStack SDK. And once you enable a single flag, under the hood, we actually will have our workflow scanner running across your pre-existing test suite. And we will be able to detect issues and create reports. So there will be two options that will be available for this. And already the Mocha option is available. So it's as simple as a NPM install as long as you're part of the closed alpha and you'll be able to try that out. Yep.
I'll just take the next few.
Sure.
So there is a question from Jeremiah Beasley. How do you pass keystrokes for voice over BrowserStack? I can't find any documentation for that. So it's as simple as, just launching your, with the help of screen reader, just launching the server with the browser OS combination that you want, and just enable the screen reader functionality. And then there is basically whichever key you want to focus on, just focus on that key and then keep using the tab functionality, tab keyboard and tab key, and then essentially you'll be able to navigate through the entire page with the help of that. Does the scanner and screen reader support local testing, right? So I think Apurv partially already answered this, but let's say you're using a workflow scanner, right? So you're already spinning up the website in your local environment. And as long as you're able to access the website in your local environment and you have the Chrome extension available in your browser, you would be able to test it out. So you are not going to require a local testing feature in that case. And likewise for screen reader, once you launch any of the devices on our servers, you have local testing enabled there. So you could still be able to access all those websites. Only for the website scanner part of it, which is where you are able to create a scheduler based on the schedule. The local testing is not supported at the moment, or any authentication is not supported at the moment. However, that's in the immediate roadmap, and we should be able to solve that problem out for you in a quarter or two maximum. Yeah. So that was a question from Rita. And then the next one is from Haritha. Will website scan not work for websites that are not yet public? Yeah. So I think the similar answer for that as well, Haritha. Website scanner, we will start supporting the local website local testing feature or the authentication feature very, very soon, and in a quarter or two maximum. Yeah. The last one, I think Apurv already answered, the e-learning module one. Can we integrate monitoring? Yeah, this is also answered with Slack and notification. Dushin Patel, I think all these are answered. Robo framework is also answered. You mentioned a roadmap for WCAG 2.2, but is there a general roadmap for changes in guidelines for transparent way updates as communicated, right? So at the moment, 2.2 is something which is there in the immediate roadmap, but as you can see here on the tool in the drop down, you'll be able to access with all the guidelines. You'll be able to access whether it's an A or a AA or a AAA based on the level of compliance that you're trying to achieve for your organization. You'll be able to select that as well.
Just to kind of add some more context. So yeah, so and so for WCAG 2.2, basically to support it, we will be adding more rules. And apart from, we will have release notes along with that. So in those release notes, we'll also make a mention of which additional rules or checks are being introduced. So those rules and checks will be available in our rule repository within the documentation. So yes, that's kind of the plan going forward, is that anytime there are no new rules being added, we will probably add those into the, there'll be two places to get that information. One is the release notes, and the second place would be our documentation as well. So both of those, so the release notes will get updated every time there's a new release, and our documentation ideally should also be up to date with this latest information. Yeah. Sorry, back to you.
Okay, so there was a question whether we can run the failed test cases with CI/CD tool. So basically, this tool generates the report for you, kind of an audit report for you, where exactly the issues exist and which components that need to be acted on. So there's essentially no pass or a fail. Basically, the next action item would be to share this report with the dev team, and for them to action on the components that need to be updated to adhere to the accessibility guidelines. Right. So similarly for automation SDKs as well, you would be getting a report by the end of it. And likewise in the manual scan, you would be getting a report by the end of it. Yeah. We need to be able to pass more than the tab key to the screen reader. I found that using VO on BrowserStack, I can't send basic voiceover commands and thus can't do a real test. What I would suggest is just, if you can just elaborate that use case, where exactly what is not working for you, and then we can definitely reach out to you for the live functionality. Manual UX, however, this is from the Sita. As a UX designer, I'm currently conducting a manual UX audit. However, I'm curious if there are any possibilities for designer to integrate automation into accessibility. Definitely, I think we already have our foot in the door, and we have started supporting in private alpha, started supporting automation for TestNG and Mocha. For other frameworks, there's a definite roadmap, and we'll keep you posted as and when we start supporting other automation frameworks as well. Yeah. So
and I think and Arpit, just to kind of answer that and add some more context. So Sita, I think here, apart from I think one aspect is, of course, automating anything which is a part of your regression suite. But I think it sounds like you're almost looking for a tool that can look for issues within your pre-existing design. This is something we are exploring. Feel free to kind of send across an email to us, and we'll kind of look into this use case further. But it is something we are actively exploring as we're looking to better support, and especially when it comes to accessibility testing, shift left. So if you can catch these issues ahead of time, it would be better. It is something we're exploring, not something we have right now, but something we would like to offer down the line. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of more minutes, just time for maybe 2 more questions. I can see what level of 508 compliance standards can be verified through this feature, right? So as is based on DQ Labs Axscore library. So at the moment we are supporting 2.1 AA, AAA, and we can give you details of what is the rule engine, and then how the scan works. If that is a requirement, you can definitely reach out to us, and that's where you'll be able to understand where does 508 fall into.
Yeah, and at least kind of in our understanding of the 508 compliance, a lot of it just boils down to if you are accessible from a WCAG standpoint, if you are compliant from a WCAG standpoint, that is typically good coverage for. So earlier 508 used to be different, but now the guidance around 508 is typically that if you are WCAG 2.1 AA compliant, that is a good coverage for 508. Yep.
I think we've answered almost all of them. If there's anything unanswered, I think we can definitely reach out to you offline as well. So yeah.
there any unanswered questions? We'll definitely, we appreciate all the questions that folks have sent across, and hopefully we've been able to answer them. But definitely rest assured, we'll get back to each one of you, even if we've not had a chance to get to some of these. We will definitely personally reach out to you and make sure that we answer all these questions that you've sent across. Yep.